Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and I continue with Tyranny blind. Now, both Jaspos and Wagstaff from The Bastard's Wound sent me to Lethian's Crossing because Wagstaff wants me to kill a sage. I probably am not going to do it, but at the very least I will try to talk to her to ascertain whether she's actually dangerous. So that's her friend or like contact. A slender woman picks through the produce in a carried sack. Her hands appear focused on finding a particular piece of fruit, but her eyes are intent on the shoppers in the marketplace below. A man passes her by, accidentally dropping a pouch as he goes. She bends down to retrieve it and hands it back to him. Careful, you have almost lost this. He takes the pouch with a blushing smile and promptly walks away, clutching the pouch close to his side. The woman spots your approach as the man walks away. Greetings, how may I be of service? Oh, she stole from him? Clever. I almost didn't see your palms. Didn't see you palm those rings into that pouch. Almost. Wait, into that pouch? So she gave him money? I didn't realize. Wait, I don't understand this. Maybe the dialogue will qualify. I didn't realize I had an audience. Must be a sign I'm slowing down after all those years. Don't worry, nothing underhanded. Just trying to repay a debt on the quiet. Certainly someone as yourself understands the need for discretion. Yeah, so she did literally give him additional money. Okay. I'm not interested in causing any trouble, but I do need you to answer some questions of mine. Oh, this! Her hands briefly vanish within the folds of her skirt, only to reappear with the pouch in question. Scraps of parchment. I meant to deliver this to the court after acquiring it from a traveling sage. It might be magical in nature, or contain knowledge forbidden to Kairos. Please take it. I'm only happy to do my part. She steps back and observes you, continuing to maintain an air of pleasant attractiveness. Is there anything else I can do for you? She looks at you with a nervous smile. Is there something I can do for you? I'm not going to mention Wagstaff because if she... To be honest, I don't remember. It's been a while since I played it. I don't remember what exactly did he want. I remember what he wanted. He wants me to kill Phoebe, but I don't remember what's his relation to her. Merita, I presume. You must be the peddler my friend mentioned. Yes, that's me. But while I'm in town, Xanta will suffice. In my line of work, discretion is lesson number one. Although it seems someone else failed in their discretion, else you wouldn't be here. I need to find Phoebe. Well, the fact that I know her, that's free. Current information costs extra, and information on friends costs extra, so this isn't the kind of question I'm comfortable answering. Lethian's Crossing Favor 3. I can be trusted. Ask around town if you don't believe me. I can't buy grain with noble sentiments, but if a Fatebinder is asking, I can find it in me to be forthcoming. Phoebe sends me with the occasional missive. Last I heard from her, she doubled back towards the burning library. She's got herself the dangerous notion that she can recover scripts from her old home, though I think she's avoiding the actual library, seeing as it's the epicenter of the devastation. She mentioned something called Phlogiston. I think she means the village that used to be called the Bubbling Springs before the war, out in the contested lands. And that's as much as I know about where to find her. If you can find her there, maybe she has taken the chance with the library itself. What are you here to peddle, out of curiosity? I specialize in the written things, but schools are gone, and so are most of my clients. These days I mostly deal in wineskins, shoes, and lamp oil. Nothing glamorous, but what else do people need during times such as these? Okay, that's all for now. Now, it's interesting, because the name Phlogiston, it harkens back to an old... well, at the time when it was developed, it was thought of as a scientific theory about why things burn. And the concept was that things burn because they have a burnable substance in them called phlogiston. And as it burns up, the thing burns with it. So I wonder if the name is because the village got burned in the war, and that's why it's called Phlogiston. I'm also supposed to recover some tools for Jaspos. And I will go back. We have some apologies in order for Gino to think Algan would say such lies. I will also go to the Oldwalls again, because Lantry has picked up a skill that allows him to read some of the inscriptions on there. So that might be interesting. You have returned. Lohara turns to face you, her body covered head to toe in charred hues, chest rising and falling under the strain of labored breathing. There is always more demand for iron than there is time in the day. I'm looking for some knapping tools on behalf of Jaspos. Jaspos? None of us have heard from him in some time. He certainly did his part to create the forge here, but there is little else for a napper to do after setting the foundation. I'm quite certain he was ordered to return home. She grabs a gold ingot and holds it aloft. This, on the other hand, is the vanguard of my... It's a mistake again. It's either my or our work. It can be both. My tour of duty ends only when there are no more enemies for my iron to kill. So, where did Jaspos end up? I'd prefer not to say, because to be honest, the bastard's wound is kind of illegal, and if people were to rat them out to Tunon, for example, that might be a problem. That's your right, Fatebinder. Jaspos is not under my supervision, so I only ask out of curiosity. We're just here to meet the quotas anyway, she scowls. Still, it's good to know that he's alive. What did you know of him? Only the superficials, really. He worked in stone. I'm more keen on metal, so we rarely compared notes. I knew he was arrogant, confident beyond his years and talent. Not to say he was inept, far from it, but a few years of flaking chat does not make one Kairos' gift to the forge-bound. Does Jaspos have any associates still around? Once this place was built, most of the nappers were sent home. I know his supervisor was Cassandra, Master of Knapping. She was sent home as well. She's a bit on in years, not quite fit for the long walk back, so I think she's currently enjoying a boat ride home. Okay, this is very interesting, because this seems to imply that he's lying about being the Master of Knapping, because his mistress, well, that sounds wrong, but, his supervisor, his superior, was the Master of Knapping, not him. That's interesting. Did the stone knappers leave behind any of their tools? If so, where I might find them? I have no idea what inventory the stonesmiths kept with them. Of all of our stone workers left some time ago, a few of them meant to return north by ocean travel, which meant first traveling to the southern coastline. I'd imagine they are probably gone by now, but if you need those tools, I can't imagine they'd have room on the galley to take all of their sledgehammers. If I were you, I would ask around for Cassandra, or since she's likely on a boat home right now, see if some local was drafted to attend to her or haul her stuff. Maybe they inherited some of her excess belongings she couldn't take on the boat. Aside from that, I suppose in the abstract, I could have a few chisels and hammers, but if you're looking for tools made by and for the stone experts, I think South Haven is your best bet, short of slogging it back to Fort Resolution. Okay. So there's quite a bit of traveling waiting for me in the nearest future. But first, I will go inside the Oldwalls and try to decipher those stone markings that Lantry supposedly can read now. So where were they?
Sorry, I can't. Can't do that. Sorry, I can't. Sorry, I can't.
This rune shimmers in front of the wall, sustained by unknown magic. Learn the rune and incorporate it into your spells. A Sigil of Cyclical Energies 3.
On it.
I think there's another one. What does this do? Oh, I want to know.
Can't do that.
Because I can't get in here, seemingly. It's this says it isn't responding to the torch keys from these Oldwalls, so I guess I need something else to to go beyond here, and this is where the rune is. So it's kind of pointless for me for now, but Okay, so I'm somewhere around here. Okay, let's go to the South Haven. A small cliffside hamlet overlooking the rough western sea, the town serves as a port for the goods from Lethian's Crossing, bound for points south. Ships casting off the continental mainland sometimes depart from here, finding the crossing easier for the road through the eastern mountains. Okay, I have to get to the edge, I guess, before. Oh, stop!
Will do.
Oh, whatever.
Found something. Found something.
Okay, that's kind of silly. Oh, especially because there are Bane around. So I totally wasn't here. I missed this space. Walking into those traps was kind of silly, but I'm glad I came back and explored this, I guess.
Right. Another battle. Starting to think we're back to making friends.
Taste of blood on tongue. Gray, it's hard.
This is useless. I should try something else.
One strike, one kill.
Kills in Shadow interrupts your journey to the tears with a massive raised paw. Her nostrils flare, clawed fingers curling inward. The Shadow Hunter raises her head as high as possible, smelling the wind, then lowers her nose to the ground to sniff the road. Beast Woman sent here. She twists both directions, then gestures off the road. Went uphill. Kills in Shadow can track. Yep. Well, look for Beast Woman. You nod in approval. She falls to all fours, climbing up the hill, with her nose so low to the ground, sucking deep breaths through her nostrils. You follow, easily keeping pace, but sweating lightly from the exertion. You see the smoke of her campfire before you see the Beast Woman herself, and Kills in Shadow chuffs at the sign. Why burn wood Every hunter in the tiers can see smoke. She scratches her head. Investigate further. You follow the trail of smoke into a gully and find a relatively small beastwoman seated on a log. She looks up and chaffs lightly. Not smell you, she says by way of greeting, gesturing with an open paw to the campfire. Side smells strongest. Her head tilts slightly to the side. Human wants to trade? Ask her why she's here. You approach the small campfire and ask the beastwoman what she's doing alone out here. She scratches her head. Gemclaim trades, hunts for meat and fur, searches for shiny stones but mostly trades. Trades all with any. Kills in shadow chaffs in this taste. Beastwoman hunts to eat. Only humans hunt for barter. Gemclaim likes shiny stones, likes rings. Remind Gemclaim of other times. She shakes her head rapidly, then swats away a fly. Offer a trade. The beastwoman unrolls a large hide that contains a wide variety of goods. Best meat, best hide, all fresh from the hunt. Yeah, that's a pretty cool shield, maybe for Barrick or whatever, but I don't have enough money, so... unless... what do I have to sell? Would that be enough? Yeah, I guess I can sell this at this point. To be honest, it seems stupid to purchase it without comparing it to what Barrick is actually currently wearing. I'll not do it. Have fun with the rest of the stuff that I traded with you. Archon Stanis Javert, allow me to address you as such, with such a title before it becomes fashionable to do. I pride myself a woman who stays ahead of the trends. Why Kairos smites only some but allows others to exist is a question we all ponder. The Overlord can certainly appear arbitrary, and I've learned, if anything, that's the point. Kairos is intentionally aloof and distant, both for matters of personal security, and because if you had to wrangle the most powerful entities on Terratus, you would need to keep them from getting too comfortable. To me, the most obvious answer is that Kairos knows exactly what are you doing, and probably approves of your action, and is likely working at every opportunity to create a situation wherein you're acting in your own self-interest while satisfying her ambitions as well. You have to consider one important detail. There's nowhere left in Terratus to conquer now that the Tears are in the Overlord's grasp. What would the great generals even do in a time of peace? The Voices of Nerat is barely tolerable when you have a need of a spy master. Why keep around such a monster when you no longer have a need for such a gruesome weapon? I would argue that it's in Kairos' interest that the Tears be a costly invasion that claims the lives of as many Archons as possible, not enough meat on the Tears to keep too many sharks sated for very, very long. Kairos ordered everyone to take Ascension Hall or die. The or die must have been an acceptable option, right? If I had to hazard a guess, I would say you have the unspoken backing of the Overlord. It's not like Bleden Mark can't find you whenever he wants. Yet there is a certain degree of truth to what she's saying, because obviously, authoritarian dictatorial regimes, they thrive on war. They need enemies to justify their own existence, because once there is no more war, people would start to question why, for example, everything is so tightly controlled, why there is so much of an official grip on everything if there's no threat. So they need the war to justify their own oppressiveness. So in that regard, she might very well be correct that prolonging the conflict in the Tears and making it as difficult as it can be for the Empire is actually beneficial for Kairos in a roundabout way. Oh, the Fatebinder. Hello, welcome to South Haven. A middle-aged man nods to you, clutching a small apple crate in one arm. A well-worn scrap of parchment pokes out of his bulleted fist. Charcoal tally marks visible on its exposed surface. Well met, traveler. Sorry, I was counting these out for Hermod and didn't see you coming. Welcome to South Haven. You're the Fatebinder, aren't you? The one that claimed the mountain spire. It's not every day that we have such an esteemed visitor. As he awkwardly bows, several apples fall out of the crate and bounce out of his hands, rolling past your feet. Sorry, he sets down the container. Is there anything I can do for you? I'm not familiar with South Haven. Tell me about it. I'm not sure what's really all that worthy of note. He scratches his chin, inadvertently smudging it with charcoal. We've got the river and the sea nearby, and live by what they bring us on the good seasons, trade for what we don't have when our luck dries up. If you're bored already, good. I think Kairos' forces were bored too, and seemed to ignore us. Some of the recruiters from the chorus came up in the past, and rounded up some folks that were out in the fields. I think they took Ptoled's boy, and also used the Korba twins, but that's the worst of it. I've heard plenty of stories from elsewhere in the Tears. 3 folks gone while a tragedy is nothing compared to the suffering seen elsewhere. We are fortunate, not denying that. What do you do here? Me? Oh, I'm no one important. I never took the particular trade, and I'm not a man of letters. I just help where I can. He gestures towards the crates behind him. I count the produce for Hermod. He lets me take a few fruits when I'm done. His words are interrupted by a rhythmic clanging of hammers against metal. He turns to look at the source at the nearby roof, exposing a gap-toothed grin as he speaks. And of course, the forge-bound always need fresh water, so I'll pump it up for them from time to time. I'm sure Cassandra appreciates that. How did this village end up staffed by forge-bound? Oh, their arrival was the biggest change we have experienced in a long time. It has been maybe 2 years. This guarded entourage came to town, and we all thought we were being invaded, but nope. Just a bunch of craftsmen booking passage out of the port south of here. When they arrived, they were all ill with the fever and needed to rest. Since all lions knocked off, we let the forge-bound use her house. We assumed it would be temporary, but either the ship they meant to board sank, or they had a change of plans. A span later, the Forgebound were still making themselves at home. Didn't hurt the villagers here were fascinated by their crafting magic. The youngsters of the village all lined up for lessons, and Kairos be praised, they saw fit to tutor some of them. They've been awful helpful, spears and arrowheads for our hunters, plows for the fields, fishhooks for the rivers, even a heart or two for those cold nights. They could keep us safe and stand watch over the town. If I were younger, I would ask them to train me. You can find the Forgebound just on the roof, behind. Cassandra keeps her apprentices working late, but rarely stays up with them at this hour. She's up before first light, after all. What do you know about Cassandra? She's incredible. She's no spring chick, but she can split a boulder better than any man in the village. You can tell her apprentices respect her just by the way they look at her. Everyone here feels the same. If she speaks up, we all take notice. She's intimidating, though. I wanted to give her a suggestion about some stone arrowheads she fashioned, but she looked really angry when I approached her. She was yelling at one of her students, and another was on fire or something, so my timing was poor. There's a lot I would love to learn from her, but I'm too old to be taken seriously as a candidate. That's all for now. I'll look around. Curfew is in effect. You shouldn't be out there. No one should be out past... Really? Really? You're going to cite curfew to me? If I was a little bit worse of a person,
I got it.
That could end very badly for you. No one should be out past curfew, Fatebinder. Apologies. Okay, so I guess I have to wait until the morning. I need a place to stay until the morning. Of course, Fatebinder. Philia lets me stay in her son's old room. There's a cot there that you can use.
On it.
As far as I'm concerned, the Forgebound should never leave.
Sorry, I can't.
You see a tall figure with a patchwork sash of animal pelts slung across her shoulders. The skin on her sunburned face melts with a pair of naturally flushed, freckled cheeks. She speaks energetically to two nearby villagers, animated in her depiction of her recent hunt. I had to crawl real low through the bush. Those critters have eyes like eagles, but are too deaf to hear their own farts. I got close enough to see its nose wriggling in the air. They can actually feel you coming that way, you know. But it was too late. Once we've thrust later, it turned into dinner. As she hears you approaching, she spins around, spear held out playfully. Who goes there? Her laugh is hearty but ends abruptly as she takes note of your appearance. Apologies, Fatebinder. I had no idea you were visiting us. Forgive the jest. I've been burdened with the overabundance of energy since childhood. One way or another it comes out. She offers a purposefully awkward curtsy. What can I do for you? What can you tell me of the Forgebound? Fine folk as far as I'm concerned. Everyone around here is better off with them. Cassandra and her students keep me supplied with fresh spear tips and arrowheads, and my life's never been easier. They spent most of their time in training, though. I think that's the real reason they are here, to pass on the secrets from master to pupil in a safe place. Cassandra's a hard ass in more ways than one, but her students are better off for it. They certainly make short work out of any requests. Nails, hooks, blades, whatever you can think of. Only old Lycus didn't take too kindly to their present, but that's because he's a half-rate smith whose blades are as limp as he is in the sack. Anyway, I like them. I'm not too wild about the curfew they've demanded, but Cassandra insists it's for our safety. I haven't seen any Brotherhood or bandits while out on my hands, so it's not like we're any less safe because of it. What do you think of Cassandra? She's a tough nut to crack. She's been pounding steel for so long, I think she's forgotten how to hang up a hammer and enjoy other pursuits. I first got to know her after we got talking about hunting implements. I think she saw something in my enthusiasm for it all, and we've steadily become pals. She's a much different person after she unwinds. Not that there's anything wrong with having such a tough exterior. She's a master of napping after all. You've got to maintain appearances. Cassandra's gravelight tools seem unique. Any chance she would part with them? Doubt it. All she ever goes on are the chisels. Moils, flates, tempers. Who knows? Who knew there was so much to know about wedges with handles? If you need tools, ask her. I bet she'll make them for you, just to show off what she can do. But her tools? Seriously, those are probably the only things in this world she genuinely loves. So essentially, I guess Jaspos wanted me to steal her tools by claiming they were his. Because he's not the master of napping, she is. A young man squints at the bottles in front of him. He picks them up, shakes them and sets them down, dissatisfied after every examination. Was it fennel pollen? Or rhubarb root? He catches the sight of you. Hello, traveler. Is there something I can do for you? What are you looking for? My wife took fever recently, burning temples and an awful rash. She's a tough one, but I wanted to get her some medicine. I know that boiled silverthorn works well, but that's a few rings too many for me. There must be an alternate. Elderbark is what you want. Almost as potent as silverthorn, but a lot more plentiful. You can probably buy it for a song. Thank you, that's very kind of you. I'm quite worried about my wife, and these herbs will really help. Is there anything I can help you with? It's the least I can do. I've got some questions. Of course. Thanks to you, I can spare a moment before getting those herbs back to my wife. What would you like to know? What do you think of the Forgebound? No qualms here. I was a bit nervous having them in town at first. You have to understand, we fared better than most during the conquest. Kairos' war raged on elsewhere, so none of his armies marched through South Haven. But who knew if the Forgebound would attract attention from the Archons or Brotherhood raiders? They proved me wrong. Nobody attacked the village since they arrived. When Cassandra isn't training them, the Forgebound help us out however they can. Can't say I'm a fan of their curfew that they enforce, but it's a fair trade for their services. Tell me about the curfew. Cassandra demanded it. I guess the Forgebound dealt with raiders on their journey here, and don't ever want to be caught unawares again. It's a hassle, but I'd rather have them here, not like I need to be wandering around in the dark anyway. So aside from a few folks, most of us stay indoors during the evening. Cassandra's apprentices then keep an eye out for intruders after a full day's work too. Theirs is not an easy trade. Do you have any opinions about Cassandra? There's no issue with her, truth be told. I've never really spoken to her. You can hear her barking orders at her apprentices at all the hours of the day. I never felt comfortable interrupting their sessions, though I know some folks like Capron help them out from time to time. Maybe you should ask him. Tell me about Capteron. Capteron's been in South Haven for a long time. Everyone knows him. He's a simple man, but about as good-hearted as they come. My father grew up with him right here, and says he has always been kind. Capteron doesn't have a trade to speak of, other than helping others. He would probably go out to pick the herbs for me if I asked him. He likes to stay near the village entrance to direct travelers most of the time, since he's always assisting folks, and the Forgebound, he's one of the few that are allowed to wander about during the evening curfew. He glances at the workers with a knowing smile. Of course, everyone knows that he's smitten by their leader. He finds every excuse to be close to the Forgebound, and every excuse to avoid speaking with Cassandra. He's an old man with a child's heart.
I got it. Can't do that.
Greetings, Fatebinder. We are good people here, loyal to the Overlord.
Sorry, I can't.
A barrel-chested man surveys the area with a stern expression, eyeing you nonchalantly as you approach. A large horseshoe moustache traces the top of his mouth before racing down the chin. When he speaks, the bristles nearly mask his lips. Well met, Fatebinder. What do you need? Who are you? Nicodemus, Cassandra's second. I've had a few seasons under my belt, unlike these pups in the forge. He gives a sideway glance back towards the work area. I watch over things when Cassandra has better things to do, which is always. Why are the Forgebound here? Asks Cassandra. She gives the orders. No point in me guessing at her meaning. What can you tell me about your leader? Tough but fair. Cassandra knows that teaching and napping are both acts of reduction. In case of teaching, one chips away at ignorance. Some don't like her approach. Such fools are not fit for a guild. He's a man of few words, isn't he? A small group of Forgebound stand in conference around the older grey-haired woman. Blue-tattooed streaks trail down from her hairline, coming to rest upon a pair of eyebrows permanently fixed in a severe expression. She grasps a hunk of jasper and strikes it several times with a sharp piece of obsidian. The motion should feel rhythmic as you work the stone, as mundane as breath. Her sinewy biceps contract to control the force from each impact, keeping the jasper remarkably still. Listen to your senses. If the shape of your mind doesn't feel inevitable, then you're wasting your strength and my time. Noticing your approach, she holds the demonstration and waves off her apprentices. We'll continue this later. Fatebinder, I am Cassandra, Master of Knapping. The Forgebound present are in my charge. She grants you a perfunctory nod. I know your time is limited, and South Haven is too remote for this meeting to be a chance. What can I do for you? How did you end up in South Haven? As Master of Knapping, it's my duty to build the forges that keep the others occupied. Bronze and iron are the guild's trademark, but stone is the foundation. When Kairos' conquest began, my kin followed the armies into the tiers, and I led the efforts to build up Lethian's crossing. With our task at the crossing complete, there was naught to do for me but return home. I barely made the long march south, so I decided to head towards the closest port just near here and planned to catch a boat back home, but the journey here was difficult. Brotherhood bandits ambushed us on the road. Her eyes narrow at the memory as she rubs the left side of her abdomen. They fancied our forge implements and thought them fair payment for the use of the road. I refused, and we brained them with our hammers. She cracks her neck with a quick tilt of her head. I cracked a rib or three, and some others in the party were wounded, so resting seemed wise. The locals were overly accommodating, and I started wondering if I would even live long enough to through the sea voyage home, so I decided to set up shop and teach here. Our temporary stay then became rather permanent. Do you know a man named Caperton? Capteron, oh for fuck's sake, she rolls her eyes in a sudden loss of composure. A lovesick cub if I've ever seen one. He's helpful when hauling and without jobs, but enough with the endless pining, and not that he's ever experienced love, as best as I can tell. He's well past fathering age, but probably couldn't find a vagina in a brothel. He mostly keeps his affections to himself, thankfully. He's harmless, and always compliant if you yell loudly enough. Do you fancy spineless men? Have at him. That's a strangely weird question, but I am going to ask it because it seems interesting. You have hair. I thought all Forgebound shaved their heads. She permits a smirk for the briefest of moments. I shaved my head for nearly every day of my life. I think I've earned a reprieve. She lightly smacks the back of an apprentice's head as he kneels to work. These idiots don't get that luxury. We have those traditions for a reason. If you've waded into a forge fire all day, you would know better than to grow a mop of wigs on your head. I thought Jaspos was the master of Knapping. Jaspos? I thought the officers of the court would be better informed. There can be only one master at a time. I am not a corpse yet, despite the wishes of my apprentices, so the title remains with me. Then what rank does Jaspos hold if he's not a master? Why are we even talking about him? The only title he's fit to wear is the Master of Arrogance. He was dutiful enough student, but I've heard the boasts he's made to my apprentices in private. He learned quickly, I'll give him that, but he was a long way from attaining any kind of mastery. It takes at least a decade of consistently impressive work before the guild would allow for the title of Master to be bandied about. If I dropped dead tomorrow, there are a dozen more qualified to inherit my title. She lets out a sigh, her eyes narrowing as her upper lip twitches. What gave you the notion that Jaspos is the master of Knapping? I think I'm going to say this for the same reason why I didn't tell the other person where they are. It's a detail that came up as a part of investigation of mine. I can say nothing more on the matter. If that is true, then someone must be informed about... She holds her thought with a clenched fist. If it's true that Jaspos is claiming such things, know that it is a punishable offense in the Forgebound Guild. When you are at more liberty to discuss what you know, please bring this to the guild's attention. I'm here to retrieve Jaspos's napping tools. Jaspos's tools? What sort of nonsense is this? Good question. I'm starting to suspect I've been duped, and I'm guessing the only tools there are yours. To commemorate my 50 years with the guild, Zdenia made me a toolset of the most exquisite craftsmanship. No doubt that's what Jaspos has in mind. After we left for Letian's Crossing, I noticed the set was incomplete. Several key hammers and chisels, one of my best loops, all missing. At the time, I assumed the fault lay with me. The way to the South Haven wasn't without troubles, so I assumed I misplaced things during the shuffle. I would never have guessed that Jaspos would steal them from me, from his own master. If my knees were still good for sprinting, I would chase down that ungrateful rake and pulverize his skeleton one bone at a time. Her rage seems to vanish with a shrug and a smile. I suppose making tools is what I do best. Not like I can't replace what was lost, but these tools were a gift, and not even I can fashion sentimentality out of a rock. I'm not sure how exactly I can help you with this situation, Fatebinder. What makes those tools so special? Zdenia fashioned them as part of a series of works inspired by some pre-war study into the Tidecasters and their ways. She took it upon herself to spend a year working only with the crystals and metals that the casters used in their designs. My tools were some of her best pieces that came from that year of experimentation. I try not to make a big deal about having tools inspired by Tearsman magic, but they are the finest I've used. I guess the idea is that some of the Moonlight's energy remains trapped in the business end of the tools. All I know is that when I have them in hand, I can work faster and with more precision and strength. In truth, I can do fine with lesser tools. As much as I adore the set that Zdenia made me, no one can make a handle to fit my hand quite like I do. She picks up a small hammer and twirls her in her hand. But if Jaspos thinks she can claim the rest of my tools and pretend to greatness, that ungrateful wretch is dead to me. Yeah, I'm just going to leave them with her. He obviously lied to me. On more counts than one. Because first of all, he's claiming to be a master, and second, he wanted those tools which are hers, not his. Speak sincerely, I misunderstood the situation. The tools are rightfully yours. Thank you, Fatebinder. She visibly relaxes, as do several of her apprentices. I am glad we could clear this misunderstanding, and I am sorry that one of my own deceived you. As his instructor, I should have spotted the flaw in his scruples. The shame is mine that he was not cleft from our ranks sooner. Okay, I will go to Phlogiston. The ruined remnants of this town are dusted with a fine layer of ash. Its proximity to the sea that did not save it from the flames that rained down upon it when Kairos' Edict of Fire was proclaimed.
Stop! Look!
Oh. So when I am in the land that's affected by an edict, it's an actual effect upon my characters. Black ash and wisps of tiny orange embers litter the air, aimlessly floating and drifting about. All characters in the region are imbued with the increase in magic skill and greater increase in the fire magic. The party gains an increase to burn damage that is dealt, and all melee attacks from party members apply a small amount of burn damage.
Sorry, I can't.
Okay, so I think she's being kept prisoner by the Scarlet Chorus. But I will talk with the chorus next time, because this episode has been long enough, so I'm going to save here and end it for now. That's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!